Hi, I'm Kurt Client, and yes, you are listening to episode 1 of Helix Today. Style, charm, intellect, of course a bit of an ego, and yes, a great body. Our guest is Garrett Kinsley. I was able to catch up with Garrett in his new hometown of Washington, D.C. Garrett, it's such a pleasure to speak with you, someone who I would say of the many people that I've seen, it looks like you really love what you do.
I enjoy it. I would say I do love what I do. It makes me feel like super empowered, and it feels really good to be so sex positive at the age I am, because I know for a lot of people that didn't get to grow up in the time that I did, they didn't really get to come out as early as I did or get to experience gay culture as early as I did. This profession definitely helped forward that process for me. So I would say I love what I do. I'm not ashamed of what I do at all. I think we're actually about to hit my 50th scene, either on this next trip I'm going on or the one after.
Garrett had this advice for any man considering working in gay adult entertainment.
I would definitely tell him, make sure you're doing this for the right reasons, with some of the ideals or just the perspective they have on why they're here and what they want to get out of it, I think is for the wrong reasons. And that's what usually ends in, those blow-ups on Twitter, those big ol' screenshots posted everywhere fights, just because they're here for the wrong reasons and not trying to get what you should be getting out of this industry. I feel like what you should be getting out of this industry is more than just a steady paycheck. It's more of sexual liberation. It's body positivity. It's being given a platform that not many are being able to be given. So you have to use that platform to spread others' messages, like believing survivors and Black Lives Matter. So I think this industry is just, it has a lot more pull than it realizes, and we should definitely be using our platforms for more than what we do. I really do love who I am, and I feel like I put some really good messages into the world, and I feel like I give people a good friend to confide in. I mean, I love Helix. I don't plan on leaving Helix. They haven't treated me bad. They've only treated me with respect. And as long as they give it to me, I'm going to return that. And I've been getting steady work, so I just have no reason to leave. That's why when I see others leave, I'm like, oh, God, I don't know why they do that, because I would never think about it.
If there had been something like Helix and the work you do when I was a kid, I think my whole course of life may have been different. Let's talk about it. You mentioned about coming out early and your early life. When did you first realize you were gay, and where was that? Where were you growing up?
I think I realized I was gay way earlier than anyone else. Even in elementary school, I just always was this is so weird. Everyone is hanging out with their sexes, but I cannot stand being around men for some reason. And I think it was just the repressed homosexual tendencies that I had. So avoiding them was making it a lot easier for me to ignore the fact that I was gay, because, I was raised in the South in a Christian household. So it was just kind of shameful to be like that, I thought, at that age. Looking back now, it's you're so stupid, girl. You're a little fag, and you should have just gotten over it.
You're working with Helix in Las Vegas. You grew up in East Tennessee, and you ended up in Washington. How is Washington, D.C., your home now?
Well, when I was in high school, I did a lot of things in order to, give myself the best opportunity for colleges and getting scholarships. So I played competitive soccer. I did a lot of different clubs, and one of the clubs I did was speech and debate, or forensics, which is what I found a lot of my success in, which I enjoyed because I'm not too much of a fan of team sports. That was more of an individual sport, and I was like, okay, great. I'm carrying the weight of what I'm reaping as success because of what I do solely. So I was into that. I just was offered not a full ride, but a good scholarship to come to the school that I go to now. And after not even a full year of doing that at school, I was like, there's no way I'm going to graduate with a degree and do this at the same time.
Right.
It's just taking too much time away from why I'm there at college.
Let's talk about some of the scenes that you've done and some of the adventures that you have. Now, I really like that recent scene where you woke up in bed with a woman, and I have to wonder, has that ever happened to you in real life?
I have definitely woken up with a woman before. I've not a golden star gay. I've had my sexual experiences with females before, albeit I did not enjoy them. It was definitely something to cross off my bucket list.
What do you find and think of as the best, right now at this point in your life, the best and most challenging things about being Garrett Kinsley?
The most challenging thing about being Garrett Kinsley is how long it takes me to get ready. That is the most challenging thing. Yeah, it really is. It's so sad. It is so sad. And the only reason I say that, and without even thinking about it, that was the answer, is because that is just a common theme in my life. It's always been like that. And especially working on the shoots and the scenes where we're like waiting for people to get ready, I always have to wake up on my own earlier to start, or else I just won't be ready. I feel like I'm a hard person not to get along with. I'm not saying I'm a great person, just I really like to give the energy that you give me, and just best thing is I love who I am.
I talked to Kyle Ross, and he said that once you do 5 scenes, you kind of got it down of how it all works. But my thought is, how tough is it for you? And you, of course, go both ways, top, bottom. You pretty much do it all. How tough is it to get into the moment with a crew around you that's filming the erotic action?
I think it depends on the person. For me, it really didn't bother me too much because I don't know, I've always been that weirdo that like you hook up with and like talks during it. Not in like a weird way, but just like, I don't know, to make myself more comfortable with the situation, I feel like. And so when I was doing that with like having everyone around, it just made it a lot more comfortable for me. And I just never really even acknowledge that they're there. What I tell people is I get into a whole fantasy. I do not see anything except for the goal ahead, and that's all I'm focused on.
Helix star turned director Max Carter was who you first worked with when you started?
Oh, yeah. Max definitely has had a lot of help with who I've like become in this industry. He just has been really good to me and taking me under his wing and like teaching me, but I don't know. He's always told me that he just never really had to give me too much direction. I just kind of understood it and got it. And that's mostly because my background with like theater and speech and debate and just knowing how to deliver.
That knowing how to deliver is key. That's what I was going to ask you. You must have some theatrical background because, for instance, you were in the Helix Academy, a wrestling movie. Has there ever been a hotter manager than you are? And certainly that is a new element. You can't just be hot and hung. You have to also now, to be a success in the industry, you have to be able to remember lines.
That, like, remembering stuff for me is easy, never an issue. Give me a script, I got it down. It's harder, but I just think the product is so much better.
I think that does. It gives it a storyline, and it's kind of a kick. It's got to be when you can look up and, find some work you've done on Amazon Prime now. I mean, I think that's an important part of taking things to the mainstream. What is it like, though? You guys have been rehearsing a script. You go in there. What is the feeling like on the day of the shoot? Do you ever get nervous? Or what's that vibe like when you enter the studio or the set where you're going to be shooting a scene?
I really never can tell until it's happening. Like, we usually will shoot like the before roll first. It just really depends on the person, the vibe, the environment, if any drama's happening, because like sometimes there is drama between co-stars and that is like a little daunting.
So does Casey and Alex and company and Max, and do they have to be kind of like the father confessor at times too and mediate any conflicts that may come up?
Oh yes, they definitely do, and more or less what Max is what he does, because I haven't really had that happen with Casey and Alex. They're very good about like not having that or being a part of that, really. I don't know. They just kind of ignore the issues there, which works for them.
Yeah.
But Max is all about energy and feeling the vibe. And if he can feel that there's tension here, he's always like, listen, you're going to have to save face. Just get this down and you're good to go and you can eat and be happy.
Do they ever have a situational anxiety where the hardness you expect from your co-star is all of a sudden not there? And what do you do if that happens?
Oh, gosh. I've had that happen before. It just depends on what's happening. Like some co-stars, I've had to work off camera in order to help them with my body and me who I am, you know what I'm saying? Right. And others just do it on their own. And sometimes it makes a scene take a while, just having to wait constantly because someone can't keep it going for a bit, which is kind of what I like to preach whenever I'm filming. It's like I like to do chunks. I don't like to start, stop. It takes me out of it, and it's all about a fantasy. So when I start, I go for as long as I can, and there's no stopping. I don't care if it hurts.
Absolutely fascinating because, you guys are all young, persons of our more advanced age. We find that that's encouraging to know that even you young stars have issues like that occasionally. Now, speaking of how long it takes in going, how long does a typical shoot take? And I know we're doing movie scenes now, like something, the Helix Academy story certainly will take considerably longer because of all the parts involved than just like the scene, the Hotel Helix or one of the drive scenes that you're doing. How long would that be in number of hours to get a complete scene done from start to finish?
It depends. When I first started, which was like almost 2 years ago, it would take around 4, maybe 5 hours. And then, you'd have your 1 or 2. That was like an hour and a half, 2 hours. But I would say a lot of my scenes now for the past year have just been about maybe 2 hours or so, maximum maybe 4. So really not that long, but for other stars, they definitely do run longer. I'm just lucky and blessed in the fact that I don't have problems with my erection, and it's also why I like to do chunks.
Millions of men, and maybe some women too, that are envious of the amazing scene partners that you've had. So I'm looking at the list now on the Helix site. Can you name 2 or 3 that you would be happy to hang out with off camera in your personal life?
Oh, well, I've hung out with a few. I've actually hung out with a lot of Helix stars off camera. I went on a big traveling trip where my goal was to hang out with co-stars. I went and hung out with Travis over in Austin, Texas for a bit. Love him. He's such a witch bitch, crazy fag. What a flamer. Love him to death.
And he's pretty tall, isn't he? Isn't Travis pretty tall?
Oh, yeah, he's like 6'3", and I only know he's 6'3" because Jace is 6'4", and Jace lives near me, so we hang out off camera too.
How does it feel to now be in the role where you kind of show the new talent their ropes? I'm thinking the scene you did out of Vegas, it looked like, with Devin Holt. I think it was the lake house scene or something to that effect.
That was done in California, I think.
You were the boss in that scene. He played him as the intimidated newcomer, and you were showing him the way it gets done.
I've noticed that as a common trend for a couple of my scenes. Well, not a couple, enough for me to notice it, which isn't a bad thing necessarily. I did pick this up rather quickly, and I do serve kind of like I wouldn't say fatherly because everyone has daddy issues, so I'd say mentor role. I like to make new guys feel comfortable, so I just always like to, be that face where it's this is okay, this is safe.
But when you get to that erotic part, not much you can script there, or is there? How much is pre-planned of the scenes, and how much is just ad-libbed, go with it on the moment?
The positions are usually outlined beforehand, but sometimes we'll do variety in between, whatever the stars are feeling. I like to do that here or there, just kind of make varieties of a position and do my own little thing, what feels comfortable for me. Because what feels comfortable for me and feels better for my partner is going to look better on camera. That is what I believe in, so that is what I'll stick by. So I would say just for the scenes I've been in, we only plan the positions, and that's about it. You kind of just go for it. I would say that I'm gifted in the fact that I do have a background in impromptu speaking and improvisation, so it's really easy for me to work in lines and keep the scene relevant to the B-roll that was happening before, making it all meshed together.
So where does your journey go next?
I am about to graduate in a year, maybe somewhere in my field. I'm studying microbiology. Very, very, very dense knowledge and definitely a niche subject to know a lot about. I don't know. I would say that I would still be doing something in the industry.
How does it feel knowing that literally thousands, if not millions, of people have seen you in such intimate and erotic circumstances?
It definitely feels ethereal, especially when I go out to gay spaces. People will recognize me, and I sometimes forget. I'm oh, I'm all over the internet. They probably know me from that. So it kind of feels like you have a watch glass over yourself, but unlike people who are more famous in more of an A-list way, we're able to remove that watch glass because we are famous in a niche gay area, social sphere. So we're able to still live our lives as normal people, but it's nice to be able to pick and choose when you want to be famous, kind of.
Anything else you'd like to add that we didn't cover that may be important to you, an important message for the listeners?
If I had to leave any kind of message behind, I would just say Black Lives Matter, and they do matter for sure, and they always will. Believe survivors, get vaxxed, get waxed, and get ready to blow your back.
Continued success, and hopefully if you're back in Vegas for a shoot, we'll get together and get to say hi. Maybe play a little ping pong at Keith's house.
Oh, that would be awesome, but I don't know if you'd want to play me. I'm pretty competitive, and I don't like to lose.
Helix Today will be constantly changing and evolving, but will always feature the real backstories of the hottest men in gay adult entertainment and the behind-the-scenes stories of what it takes to make the hot gay entertainment that you see online. That's it for this time. See you soon, and we hope you'll want to see more of Helix Studios. That's our web address, helixstudios.com. And don't forget, we also have a Safe for Work YouTube channel. Take a look today.